about something that you dialogue, that means that we're sharing, right? Because I can't have Socratic dialogue by myself, correct?
I didn't know what it meant either.
Oh, no one knows what that means?
I've never heard of that before.
Oh.
We're used where it's a discussion.
Is it? Okay. Socratic dialogue means that we're going to have a discussion amongst ourselves, and we're going to use this discussion to help us formulate our thoughts about when we go into weight loss and we talk about our dietary habits and what that looks like. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. Because this class was called Weight Loss Made Simple.
There's no such thing.
A woman of my heart. Woman of my heart. It doesn't have to be so complicated, but we're going to look at simple tips that you can do to help regulate metabolism and stuff like that so that weight loss can be more simple. So I want to know something that you've done in the past, that something you've accomplished. So I want to know something big accomplished, or something big that you've done in the past that you accomplished. And then I want to know if during that process you had support or you didn't have support. So you can give me anything.
Does raising children have anything?
100%. It's no small feat. So,
Yes, support.
and you had support during that time. I love that. Raising children, and you did have support during that time.
And we're still raising them, even though they're...
You're always going to be. Yeah. I have my own children, and my mom still knows that she's raising all of us too. So, yeah. That's perfect. Good. Anybody else? Question is something you've accomplished in the past, something that was a big feat for you. So something that took energy, time, stamina, and then I want to know if you had support during that or if you didn't. And I guess really how that plays a role. So raising children and then having that support, I automatically get that. And I think anybody in here gets that entire idea.
I lived with my mother-in-law for 17 years. Oh, my
Cheryl, if you're watching this, we also live together right now, so I love that you're at our house. This is perfect, and I'm not clapping because you said that. She's actually a dream to live with, but I could see how other people, this could be difficult.
But I got from my husband because he was my support.
I get that. Thank God for my husband because he was my support. That's perfect. Anybody else?
Well, I've been married to my husband for 40 years. I think that's a big accomplishment.
It's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
That is a
It's the easiest thing ever.
What? Yeah, right. Easy.
I think my father, and that's one hell of a feat, let me tell you.
I think you and your husband have differing views on
A lot of things.
a lot of like big core things. So I think that it is impressive. I'm like, when you have those.
And I am just as challenging for him as he is for me.
Yeah, so I'm from both of your
We
parts.
have lots of support. So.
I love
and
that.
And we do support each other.
Yeah, Sandy.
I lost my husband when my kids were still in grade school and middle school, and my family didn't live close by, so I didn't get a lot of support there, but I got a lot of support from my church and people that I worked with.
I love that.
That made a big difference. I even had a teacher who gave me one day a month to go to counseling.
I love that.
6 months.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's 100%. I think the whole idea of why we have class on Tuesday and why we make people come together and why we have open adjusting, I mean, that community aspect that we try to build, and then even sitting in this class together, if you all want to come to this, if everybody wants to come to this, if everybody wants to go to a class, then a lot of times it's because there's something that they're interested in and they want to have a group, and I think having this, it's to try to build that community and that support. So I appreciate you saying that. Anybody else? Yeah, Sherry?
This was a long time ago, but I graduated high school before I gave birth to my first son, so that was a big accomplishment for me. And
Did you have?
His dad? That's about it.
That was the support.
Yeah.
I think with everybody that has accomplished something big, I think having that support is huge. So even as we go into this discussion tonight about weight loss and what makes it simple, if you go home and you're trying to make changes and nobody is there to help support you in these changes, this is going to be a really, really, really hard journey. Okay? So that's the only thing I want to say. But talking about any of this is going to make it difficult. Okay? That's all. But just knowing everything that you guys have all gone through, I think having that support and where it came on the home front, I think it's perfect. Okay, so there's three different types of I don't want to say diet because diet's not really fair to say. When I say diet, I'm talking lifestyle. So there's 3 different dietary things that we're going to look at, or 3 different lifestyle choices that I want to look at. So the first one, when it comes to weight loss, the first thing that I ever looked at is I looked at what I was sensitive to. And when I looked at my food sensitivities, I realized I was eating things that were inflaming my body everywhere. So I did this, I think I was 20 when I had my first food sensitivity done. I realized that with my food sensitivity, I went and I started reading Eating Right for Your Blood Type. And some people love it and some people don't, and some people match this really well, but I found for me, it was married perfectly. For my husband, a little different, not off, but for the most part, pretty darn good and right on. So again, with every single thing that we're going to talk about, not every one thing works for every person. So keep that in mind. But Eating Right for Your Blood Type, I found out I was an O blood type, and I found out that grains, dairies, anything from an animal unless it was beef was hard on my body. There were certain things, and then I found out with my food sensitivities that they were one and the same. So anytime you eat something that your body thinks is an invader or thinks that is foreign, it's going to cause inflammation throughout the body. And I'm not just talking inflammation, but I'm talking cellular, on a cellular level. And we have to look at how our cells are healing and moving and exchanging information back and forth, because if they are exchanging information sluggish, slow, and inflamed, guess what the body's going to do? Want to be sluggish, slow, and inflamed. And I realized when I started removing some of those things from my diet, and we're going to talk about an exchange diet too, because grain overall is not the best thing for humans. And I'm not talking grains from the past that are ancient grains, stuff that we use, because we can still use those, but grains that we use today in a repetitive basis, we've only used them for about the last couple hundred years, and our bodies don't respond really well to them. So when I removed those, I realized I would go into a class, and I remember having radiology class, and radiology was right after lunch for, I don't know why they put you in a dark room right after lunch, but I would go into that room and I would realize that everybody had their head down and everybody was exhausted and everybody was fatigued. And I remember sitting there and thinking, I am wide awake right now. What is going on? And I realized that it was immediate when I made those dietary changes and I eliminated those things from my body. I realized that my body was able to function the way that it was supposed to. So with an elimination diet, one of the things that I would always suggest is you have to remove sugar, and you have to remove sugar for at least 10 days. So if you think an elimination, if you've already had a food sensitivity done, some people get them done and then they just don't do anything with them. So if you've had one done, you know what you're sensitive to. One of the biggest things you can do is I do an elimination and I do a candida cleanse all at the same time. So candida is a parasite, and if candida lives throughout the digestional system, candida comes from yeast. So brewer's yeast, baker's yeast are 2 things you're going to need to avoid. But what happens is when that yeast gets overgrowth throughout the digestive tract, good bacteria can't come in. And when there's that battle between good and bad bacteria, you can throw as many probiotics down in there that you can get. But if there's not enough room for them to be able to replicate, you're never going to get that digestion that you want. So if you still have poor digestion, again, is going to lead to you holding on to weight that's not needed. Okay? So candida cleanse, you're going to want to eliminate sugar for at least 10 days. And then there's a supplement, if you're interested, there's a supplement called, oh my gosh. There's a supplement called, you guys, I just blanked out.
You'll get it right after class.
I'll get it right after we finish, and it will come back to me, okay? So leave a little space for a supplement, because there's a supplement that you can take along with it, and then you can start introducing foods back in and see how you do. Am I saying that you should introduce all foods back in? No, I'm not saying that. I think if you're sensitive to something and it's really high on that sensitive factor, there's probably a good chance you shouldn't eat it at all. But just know that's one of the things. But I found that as soon as you eliminate that sugar, as soon as you eliminate some of that candida, which is a parasite, and then you start feeding your body things that it's easy to, weight becomes exponentially easier. Okay? First one. Go ahead.
So you do this fast with this supplement with no
So it's not a
sugar?
fast, because you don't have to not eat. You still got to eat.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It's not gonna be
Just
sugar.
not sugar.
And you're
So
going to have a supplement.
yep. So the supplements that's there is to help your body. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'm not
The supplement I'm going to tell you right when this class gets done.
It's going to go right there. Right there.
It helps heal the body so that when it sees that food come in, it doesn't see it as an invader that's negative. So what your body tries to do when it's sensitive to something is it tries to attack it, like it's a virus or a bacteria or anything else. It tries to attack that food. And so when it attacks it, it always puts your body into, it's like if you sprain your ankle, the first thing it does is it brings blood to that area because it's trying to heal. It wants to pull out foreign material. It wants to bring in nutrients. Well, it does the same thing within your cellular system, so it keeps you in a state of being inflamed. So that supplement is there to, when you go to eat that food, to try to not make it have such a severe reaction. So if it's a light sensitivity, a lot of times you can introduce that stuff back in without having an issue.
So then what do you eat when you're doing this?
So what do you eat when you do this? So you can have, well, that's hard because that one's different to everybody. If you were just doing a pure Candida cleanse, you would not have sugar for 10 days.
Okay.
You could have, realistically, I don't do dairy and I don't do caffeine either. There's a lot of things I do with elimination. Hey, Dee, will you tell Allie to print off the elimination cleanse for everybody? Who would be interested in one of those? I have a full write-up and a full printout. Print off enough for everybody in here, and they have recipes with them too. So an elimination diet is there to help the body kind of retransition and remove. I removed most of the things that people are sensitive to. So with that being said, most of the things that I remove off of my list of no-nos, that's more so of an elimination / a parasitic cleanse. But if you think you're sensitive to anything else that I say is okay to eat, please don't eat it. And I know most people know if they're sensitive to something, but they'll still continue to eat it. So if there's anything in your mind that says, maybe I shouldn't have, I really want that, but maybe I shouldn't have that, during that 10 days, don't have it. And then if you want, once you finish, you're going to introduce one thing at a time. So one thing nice and easily. You introduce one thing at a time. And if you go to eat that thing and it doesn't seem to bother, okay. But if it's still any query in the back of your head, that's your innate intelligence. That is the higher intelligence inside of you telling that you should not eat it. It probably means don't eat it. Your body literally is internally, that little thing right here is telling you to reject. That little demon right here is telling you to eat it, but there's something else that's bigger, higher, stronger, telling you to probably steer clear. Yeah, go ahead.
So how do you know, I mean, this might be, almost kind of know the answer,
No.
maybe?
Oh, you probably do.
Introducing things, how do you know that that is something that you're...
That affects you?
What's going to...
So energy will change. Energy, fatigue, bloating is a big one too. If you eat it and you just don't, if just something's off, if it gives you cloudiness, if it gives you a haze, if it's mental and clarity, those are usually slight ones. But then if you notice any skin changes, if you start eating it again, if you get acne, if you notice any rashing, any skin irritation, that's a big one. Skin's really hard, but skin's always trying to tell you something. Those are the best ones. It's usually a mental, almost a little off.
Oh my gosh.
So just not that 100% being clear.
Poisoning myself every day.
It's real. Most people are. Most people are. So it's, yeah, Laura.
How do you do the food sensitivity test?
So the food sensitivity, we have them in our office. You'll go and you'll get a blood sample, and then we'll send it in. You can either get 99 of the most things that people are sensitive to, or they'll do a list of like 290. But a lot of times when you do the 99, usually those you can knock out most of the stuff. When you start getting into the 200s, foods are coupled together. And so all of a sudden it'll just be like everything, and it'll be so crazy and it's overwhelming. So I say just do 99 and kick off the things that are on there. Because there'll be something like celery will come up. Sorry, go ahead.
Don't do it on a Groupon. And you send in hair follicles.
Oh, yeah.
And they send you back a list of just weird things.
It'll be
It's
so big and
the
so
kicker
overwhelming.
Was, I have 100% sensitivity, whatever that means, to Ovaltine, which has how many different ingredients in it.
Right.
So they added just rabbits. I can't be around
Oh,
rabbits.
it's in
so
broken
that's-
English, so we can't be.
It was.
I can't be real sure.
Just don't do what I
Ovaltine.
did.
That's so funny. Ovaltine.
Do it here.
That's so
Do it
funny.
here.
And you don't have to do it here either. I'm just saying you can go get your blood taken, and you can do it. A bunch of naturopaths will do a food sensitivity. It doesn't have to be here. I'm just letting you know you can if you want. Okay, the second one is we don't call it eliminate, it's called an exchange diet. So an exchange diet, it's very similar to the first one, but it's literally taking out all grains. most people are sensitive to grains anyway, but in an exchange diet, you're going to exchange any grain for something that the body's able to digest. So even a rice, you're going to use cauliflower, and you're going to do like a sauteed cauliflower instead of rice. Instead of, I'm trying to think. Instead of bread, we make flax bread. So flax bread is literally flax that's been ground up, and then you add an egg to it, and we bake it. It'll make you incredibly regular. That's an overshare, but that's real. It will make you regular, but a flax bread is just ground up flax, and then you add an egg, bake it for like 20 minutes, and it comes out, and it's like you don't want to make a sandwich on it. Any sandwich, anything that you make a sandwich on, make it into a wrap, a lettuce wrap. You can use Swiss chard is like an awesome, spinach, yeah. Or turn them into a salad. All of my burgers that I would eat off the grill, they're the exact same thing. It's a burger, it's all my stuff, but then it's just done on a bed of lettuce. So it's just exchanging some of that stuff out and getting rid of it.
Is quinoa included in that?
Quinoa is an ancient grain, and that's what we're going to go into right now, because this is a little more, we're going to talk about the ketogenic diet. And we talk ketogenic because we're going to talk about moving you from being a sugar burner, which is what basically all people are, into being a fat burner. But then we're going to talk about keeping the body challenged once you come out of ketosis. And we're going to talk about how to regulate that. So quinoa is good because it's an ancient grain, and it's a protein, and it's a complete, it's everything. It's a complete carbohydrate within itself. Do you want to eat them every day? No. But can you have quinoa? Yes. And eventually we'll talk about changing with the seasons and how that can help improve weight loss too. So let's go ketogenic, because exchange diet and then doing an elimination is awesome, and I think it's one of the perfect starts for somebody. But then when you really want to dig deep and move from being a sugar burner into a fat burner, we have to talk about ketosis. So ketogenic diet is the idea that you're going to move from burning sugar into burning fat. And the only way you can move from burning sugar into burning fat is you can't eat sugar. That makes sense, right? So you can't eat sugar, and you're going to put healthy fats in. So people think, oh, I'm on the ketogenic diet and I'm eating beef. This morning I had beef and I had eggs, and then I topped it with bacon. Okay, well, what'd you have at lunch? Well, I had eggs and I had bacon, I had some sausage. I'm like, okay, what'd you have for dinner? And it's that exact same over and over and over again.
Oh, that Atkins guy.
It is how that Atkins guy died, because you're not supposed to be in Atkins. He even said that himself, that you can't be in this for a long period of time, that you have to transition out. I mean, he himself said this is for an immediate one-time situation, and then you move out of it. And then he didn't take that all the way through, but yeah, that is. Lesson learned, everybody. So, going into ketosis, you got to put in healthy fats. So is meat healthy? Yes, but if you only are eating meat, your body will never go into ketosis. So that's the first thing you have to know. You have to put in tons of vegetables, and that's going to be what it is. Here's how you know if you go into ketosis. The easiest way is to get a blood monitoring, like anybody that has diabetes that do blood monitoring, that's going to be the best way. I would go through and I would eat healthy fats, so tons of avocado, tons of coconut oil. If you do a sensitivity and you're sensitive to dairy, a lot of times you'll be sensitive to like milk or cow's milk, but you won't be sensitive to a hard cheese or even a butter, because by the time they start moving through those processes, the protein begins to break down and it's easier for your stomach to digest. The reason that cow's milk is hard to digest is because that protein was meant for a baby cow. And so when humans go to drink it, the protein is so big, it causes something called leaky gut, because the proteins are trying to move through. Same thing with a kid that breastfeeds. Breastfeeding is awesome, but it will leave gaps in the stomach because human milk it's a larger molecule. So as the child gets older, the gaps will begin to shut, and so that milk doesn't have the same effect. As long as you want that gut to shut, then the milk doesn't have that same effect. So breastfeeding, they say 2. There's been research that says older, like 4, but a lot of stuff I've seen, it says like 2 years old is kind of the max if you want some of those junctions to close. So if you go through and you have a sensitivity, and I'm not saying you have to, but if you found out that you're sensitive to cow's milk, a lot of times you won't be sensitive to cheese or even butter, because the protein is begin to break down and it's easier to digest. So a lot of times you can do cheese, you can do butter, but one of the biggest things is MCT oil. Everyone should write that down if you ever want to think about going into ketosis. Biggest ones, avocado, MCT oil, and then coconut oil. But MCT oil is going to be a huge one. Avocado oil is really nice too.
So what is MCT oil?
MCT oil is a derivative of coconut, but it has these big multi-chain trans fatty acids that are perfect to try to get the body to start using fat as the burner. So when you burn sugar, it's like this putting gasoline on top of fire and it just raging really hard and then it goes away. Where when you're in fat burning mode, it's these big, huge fat logs that just kind of keep rolling on. So when they've done studies with people that have insulin spikes. The people that have the longest lifespan have shorter insulin spikes. So the next thing you want to know about getting into ketosis or burning fat, it's not about eating less, but it's about eating less often. So for so many years, they've talked about doing 5 small meals a day. When you do 5 small meals, you'll get all these insulin spikes all the way through. And they said, yeah, you want that because then you keep nice, healthy blood sugar the whole way. It's not necessarily the case because the blood sugar will spike and then it will come back down and it will spike again and it will come back down. You want your spikes within a time frame. They say the best, it's kind of a feast and famine. So this is called intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is when you give yourself maybe a 6-hour window of time to eat. So again, it's not about eating less, it's about eating less often. The more fats you eat, you'll kind of realize that you get fuller a little sooner. And again, not too much protein because you'll never get into fat burning mode. It puts the body into a protective state. So making sure you have tons of vegetables. You can have protein, but just make sure there's tons of vegetables, tons of fat. But when you stay within that 6-period time frame, it gives your body enough time to fast and start burning ketones instead of sugar. So ketones are fat instead of sugar. So what you would do if you were really, really, really serious is I would get a blood monitor and I would prick your blood and I would see where you're at during different stages. I would do one right when you wake up, just see where your blood sugar's at. And then I would do one in our house. Dr. Andrew likes to skip breakfast. So he does coffee with butter and coconut oil and MCT oil in it. And he mixes that and that's his breakfast. I a lot of times like to skip dinner because I get home so late. If I eat late at night, then I feel like I can't sleep. So for us, they're a little different, but again, we try to stick within that 6-hour window. If you find, so after about 2 weeks, your blood sugar should drop and your ketones will begin to uptake. If you find that you can't get into ketosis, if you find that your body will not burn fat, sometimes what you have to do is you have to do a fast, and you'll do a block fast. A block fast is when you'll fast for maybe a full day, and then you'll eat the next day. And then maybe you'll fast a full day. Andrew just went through a 5-day water fast. 5-day water fast might be really intense for people. I'm on day Sunday afternoon, Tuesday. I'm through 2.5 days right now. So 2.5 days of water fast. But you can do other liquids through there, maybe a little broth to try to help ease you through it. But even if you can do 40 or 24-hour increments and start in that way, I say don't start that way. Start with that 2 to 3 weeks of just keeping your meals within that 6-hour time frame. If you can do that, a lot of times it will kick somebody into ketosis or it will kick somebody into fat burning. But if you feel like you cannot, it just won't put you over, fasting is what will kick you into it. Your body has always worked in feast or famine. That's just how we work. Our bodies just haven't transitioned with the industry. So we still live in feast or famine. If you go into ketosis, you don't want to be in ketosis for a long period of time. 3 months is probably max. So when people do the ketogenic diet, sometimes they'll think it's a full lifestyle change, and it is a lifestyle change for sure. But sometimes you'll get into it for a period of time and you'll stop losing weight. And when you stop losing weight, now you get to do diet variation. And when you do diet variation, you get to start eating carbohydrates again. You get to have your sweet potatoes again. You get to have your quinoa again. So quinoa, amaranth, ancient grains, quinoa, amaranth. Those are the 2 I normally eat. Yeah. So you can eat those too. There's like 4 or 5 different ancient grains that you can have. So you'll start mixing those back into your diet. And a lot of times when people start doing that, then again, they'll go into that huge kick of weight loss again. It's just the body realizing that you have to keep it guessing and keep it adapting. So when you start bringing those back in, diet variation, the body will begin to adapt again, and then you can lose weight that way. I know this is so hard because this is such a big topic. What questions do you guys have? Let's start there.
I just had a one about the food sensitivity.
Yeah.
just because recently, like, our whole family's getting intolerance tests.
Yeah.
And so I wondered if you had an opinion about intolerances versus sensitivities versus allergies, or like, do you have
Sometimes it's on a scale of severity. I mean, are they all similar? Yeah, if your body is sensitive to something, it means it doesn't like it. That means it's showing a reaction to it. Is it a reaction enough as an allergy where it can like kill somebody? No, but it's kind of like a bottle of aspirin. If you take an entire bottle of aspirin, you die. You're poisoned and you will pass away. You don't want to think about it this way, but if you take an aspirin every single day for your entire life, do you die that day? No. But are you in minuscule amounts poisoning yourself? Yes. It's the same thing with food. So intolerance, sensitivity, they're just on degrees and they're varying degrees, but they're doing very similar things to the body. If you eat something and you feel a little congested, but it isn't full anaphylactic shock by any means, your body is still having a reaction. So even the mental fog, when there isn't that clarity there, your body's trying to tell you that whatever it's dealing with right now doesn't have enough energy to give you mental clarity, because it's on a firefighting end where it's just trying to clear up this fire that's going on right now. Fair? Okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, I just wanted to know what your...
My opinion is that they're very similar, but they are in degrees of severity. Yeah.
How do the ketogenic lifestyle and paleo differ?
Paleo, it's almost the idea that you can have, as long as it was on this earth and it's what our ancestors were eating, then it's okay. Keto, but then you can do dried.
Protein.
It's higher protein and it's higher sugars too. Okay. So because you can do dried fruits, because you can do as much fruit as you want in that aspect, you probably won't ever get the body into a point where it's fat burning.
Okay.
If you really want to get ketogenic, one of the best ways you can do it is monitoring your blood. I know you probably don't want to, because every time I go to do it, it takes me like 10 minutes to get myself up there to get revved up. I can give birth at home by myself, but I can't take my own blood. It's terrifying. I can't do it. I'm like, do it. No, you do it. I can't do it. And that'll last about 20 minutes before I'll finally do it.
Can you do the ketosis sticks where you urinate on them or pee on them?
Yeah, but they're not as accurate. You can do that. So the keto strips, they're kind of, for blood, they're kind of expensive. They're $4 a strip. So I would make sure that your blood gets at least into the lower 80s or 70s. And once they get in that area, because a lot of times you'll wake up in the morning and it will be, let's say it's 80. But after you have your fat and your coffee, one thing you have to know, if coffee really excites you, it'll spike your adrenals. And if your adrenals are elevated, it won't let go of fat. So if you're somebody that notices that they get a little jittery and they get a little jazzed up when they're having coffee, it means it's spiking your adrenal glands. Even if you're the person that feels like you absolutely have to have coffee in the morning to get going.
So what would be the substitute? I don't drink coffee anyway, but can I
So
do tea? Like
you can do
herbal
tea. You can do tea. So it's whatever you feel comfortable mixing fat with. I do decaf, so I do a water press decaf coffee because I love the taste of it. But I felt like I had an addiction to coffee there for a little bit, so I had to move away from it. So I do decaf and I do a water press because they don't use chlorine to press it through. They just use water. But you can do tea too.
You mean strictly caffeinated coffees? So
I mean strictly caffeinated.
Tea is okay, or decaf coffee is okay, but caffeinated coffee seems to be...
If caffeine affects you, period, and it gets you really, it means it's spiking your adrenal glands and kicking out cortisol. And if you kick out a lot of cortisol, the body will not let go of fat because it thinks you're going to go into probably a famine. And so it won't want to let go of weight because it thinks that you're going to be running from a tiger. It thinks that something big is going to be happening, so it doesn't want to let go of anything. So that's the hard part. If you sit in a state of fight or flight right now as we speak, it's going to be hard to lose weight because the body will not want to.
Yeah.
You mentioned eating right for your blood type.
Yeah.
Any other good reading material?
So I'm going to send you guys, if you want, you're going to leave me your email address. I'm going to send you, it's a book, it's called Keto 360. So it's a new, do you guys know Dr. Axe? No? Josh Axe. Mm-hmm. So Josh Axe just wrote a new book and it's called Keto 360. If you guys are interested, I'm going to send that to you. But I think he talks about, I haven't read it yet because it just came out. But he's going to talk about fasting, and I know he'll talk about different foods that are appropriate. anything of that sort. The eating right for your blood type, I like. The exchange diet, I like. I'm going to give you guys the full elimination diet.
I have a question.
And
about that,
ketosis.
Ashley.
Yeah.
Someone told me that they said that people that aren't very athletic or that aren't, real big into exercise should probably not do ketogenic. Just what is your opinion about that?
I think if you do ketogenic anyway, I think your exercise should be minimal because, again, if you go to the gym and you're powerhousing through, when you do intense exercise, it also sends you into a state of fight or flight. It shouldn't make you stay there for a long time. Your body should be able to adapt and come back into a state where it's easy to balance between the two, but it will put you in a state of fight or flight. So anytime you do ketogenic, this is hard because it gets deep. So journaling is a really awesome thing to do because emotional traumas will have you hold on to weight as well. So journaling is a huge thing to do. And then yoga or light exercise, brisk walks, light exercise. They've done tons of research, even walking immediately after a meal, not a half hour, not anything else, immediately after a meal exponentially amplifies your ability to lose weight. Mm-hmm. And it's not like a crazy walk. It's literally like a nice couple going for a stroll after dinner. It's the real deal. I was trying to think. The other thing I want to tell you about weight loss, this gets deep. This gets really deep. If you find that you are not losing weight, it could be that your cells are not functioning the way you're supposed to. So in fat is where you store all of your toxins. If there's been a toxic load throughout your life, your body is not stupid. It is not dumb in any sense, shape, or form. If your body doesn't want to let go of weight, there's a good chance that you might be toxic in some certain way, whether it's a heavy metal, whether it's a mold, whether it's a mildew, whether it's something in that form. And the body won't let go of weight unless there's something there to catch it and pull it out. That gets way deep. And if you're interested in any of that, we do a full detox program. But just starting with this first and see how you do. And if you find that I'm not losing any weight, nothing's changing, nothing's budging, you might have to talk a little bit deeper, and it might have to be a full detox protocol. And that's a 3-month program, and it's intense. So just letting you know, I think anything that you guys decide to do moving forward, weight or not weight, if you want to make a lifestyle change, I think having that support at home is huge. And then I think anytime you change your health, anytime you change your finances, anytime you're trying to improve a relationship, you kind of got to jump in with both feet. So you just have to decide if you want to or if you don't want to. But I think keeping yourself and moving back and forth like, maybe, no, maybe, no. It might just always kind of keep you on this roller coaster. If you decide to go ketogenic and it works really well for you, then when you get done, not done, I don't want to say done, but then let's start talking about how to keep diet variation throughout your life. So even if you guys want to start with diet variation, you can. And it might be one day of fasting. I like a 3-2-2. So I like to do 2 days of fasting, wherever you want them, and then 2 days with carbohydrates, and then the rest with just fats. So sometimes just keeping your body guessing is enough, but I think getting your body in and out, fat burning, sugar burning, fat burning, and letting it know that it needs to change and adapt with you, then if you want, you can start doing stuff like that, which keeps it interesting. And you always got to have food change, and you never feel like you're hungry. It's nice, it's beneficial, and your body knows how to utilize it. Yeah.
What do you think of the Whole30 diet?
Anybody that has to go, please go, okay? We ran over time. This clock is 10 minutes ahead, but anybody that needs to go, please go. It's not ruined anyway. I love Whole30. I like it. I think it's a great program. Again, will it get you into fat burning? Ketogenic diet is definitely going to be a fad, but it's going to be a fad because people necessarily aren't doing it right. But realistically, we should always kind of live in a state of that through certain times of the year. But Whole30 is a really great, if someone doesn't eat the healthiest, doing a Whole30 diet to change your mindset, to change foods, to bring in new things for you, 100%. That's a perfect start. I think a food journey, a dietary journey and things that you want to do, I mean, it's taken Dr. Andrew and I mean, we've been doing this for 10 years. Changing, adapting, doing things differently, it's a journey. for sure. And we always change. Whatever research comes out, I mean, we'll always be upfront and here's, yes, we were doing this and this is what we've learned and here's how it's going. And we're always the guinea pigs. So anything we've done, anything I talk to you about, it's only because I've done it. So the Whole30 I can't tell you, but it's only because we've been doing ketogenic aspect of this stuff first. But Whole30, man, we had a woman that she's been killing it doing Whole30. And I have a bunch of colleagues that do it too. So I can't say personally.
Well, I follow them on Instagram, and their meals always look wonderful.
Yeah.
I've had a couple, and they've been really good.
I was like,
they're very healthy. I mean, it's just a different version on.
I agree.
It's just a healthy version.
Yeah, and by all means, yeah. If that's what you want to try, do it. Is weight loss simple?
No.
It's not simple, but it doesn't have to be super complex and super hard either. Okay? Do you guys have any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, what's the name of the supplement?
QBC Plex. Nailed it. Nailed it. QBC Plex.
I knew you could do it.
Wow. It just, as soon as you asked me, it just popped into my head. Clarity. QBC Plex. And you can get it, we don't sell that here. You can get that one at a Whole Foods or you can get that one at a natural grocer. QBC Plex, I use the Solar Ray one. And I just use that because it's what I've used in the past. And I haven't found anything else that combines all three of those in a company that I trust. But it's the B and the C, and then it's a Q is porcitrotone. But it's that aspect of it that helps you get through food sensitivities. So even if you ask somebody about it, if you say food sensitivities or food intolerance, Whole Foods, they'll know what you're talking about.
So, you know Wendy Stewart?
Yes.
Okay. So she told me about fat flush.
Fat
and
flush.
Gut flush.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about those?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I can't remember the author's name, or I would tell it to you.
I don't know.
She recommended or
I don't-
suggested, I should say.
She also sells something called a SIA.
Yes, she does.
We just met a guy that has been fasting for 128 days, only drinking a SIA.
Only drinking a SIA?
Because the SIA is a cell redox signaling, so it helps signaling between the cells. If you don't have, sometimes people don't notice when they're taking it, and then other people it's like exponential. Sometimes when I have a mom with really bad morning sickness, a SIA is a really good place to go. It helps ease up some of that morning sickness. But fasted for 128 days. He lost about 100 pounds.
How much is he drinking? Are you supposed to do the 2 ounces?
That's all I'll do. He does water, and then he'll just do like 2 ounces of ASEA just to keep his electrolytes and like that salt aspect.
That's it.
But 128 days water fasting.
We did 14 on juice.
And
Hard.
it was hard.
Really hard. Yeah,
But we
that
have
guy-
For me, it was
variations.
harder
We
for
have
me. I felt like I got
variations
more
like that.
effective.
Okay, keep
by
it
it.
Like the acai or this, however you say it.
The juice fasting is good, but it still has insulin spikes. There's so much sugar in it.
Yeah.
You'd almost be better off just do. No, I don't want to say better off, but I mean not just water, but doing less time and doing water and doing like 5 days instead of 14. Or even juice is awesome because it gives your digestive tract time to heal because it's not breaking down food. So juice by all means isn't bad if you're just trying to start to heal that digestive tract. Yeah, yeah. Then that's no big deal.
Why wouldn't you do broth instead of juice? Because broth
Well, I like-
doesn't have the sugar.
I
that
do
juice
broth instead of
does.
juice.
Oh.
But that's just me. I mean, there is other things you can do, but juice does have those insulin spikes. It gives the body enough time to heal. But if you're really trying to switch over into what mode the body's doing, putting in lots of sugar, which sometimes makes the crashes from a juice cleanse. Sometimes they get intense because you're sugar crash, sugar crash, sugar crash. So sometimes it makes it really hard and intense for people. Good. You guys have any questions?
I might have missed a critical point of this
Uh-oh.
whole ketosis thing.
Yeah.
My name is Kim.
Is this a carb elimination?
It's carb elimination, but it's for a period of time.
For
So
3
there'll be
months, up to 3 months?
up to 3 months. Now,
Carb
do you,
elimination.
but does it have to be 3 months? It's the body using fat, so you only give the body fat to use, so then it can start using fat to burn. When you give it carbs, then it's still, the only reason you eliminate the carbohydrates is because you want it to switch from burning sugar to burn fat. So you're to eliminate fruit for a while, and then you eliminate, does it have to be forever? No. But is it fruit for a while and then carbohydrates for a while? Yes. Until your body can learn how to switch back and forth. And then that's when you can start doing that diet variation. Once you can get into ketosis and stay there for a little bit, does it have to be 3 months straight? No, because some people can't handle 3 months of ketosis. Some people shouldn't handle 3 months of ketosis. Some people will lose 10 pounds and then they'll stop losing weight. That means it's start to change up your diet. That means it's time to start moving, whether it's a fast day, whether it's a carbohydrate load day, whether it's, so I mean by all means, some people can't handle 3 months. But 3 months is, this is very general. It's kind of the amount of time someone can hang out in ketosis and have it be like a safe period of time.
So what do you recommend eating? I wrote down a bunch of oils.
Oils, but well, you can still have vegetables.
Okay.
You can still have meat.
What are you doing with the oils?
So oils,
Like,
we mix them into our coffee. Protein is small. I just don't want, I'm not saying you can't have, I'm not saying you can't have protein. Don't get me wrong.
Oil keeps the fat away.
There's probably a protocol.
You can do, like, I mean, yeah, we ate a lot of peanut butter. We have coconut butter. We have, yeah, I'm like, we did sometimes nuts because they do have carbohydrates in them. Sometimes they won't let people get into ketosis, so be careful with nuts. Just too many, but Dr. Andrew and myself, we noticed that it didn't spike our blood sugar, so it was fine, but some people it will. Be careful.
Almond butter would be better.
Almond butter. I mean, any of them. They're all.
Peanut butter is fungal too, so if you're doing candida.
Yeah, if anyone that's sensitive, and peanuts is a big one to be sensitive to. Almonds is a good way to go. Macadamia. You can have protein. I don't want you to think you can't have protein, but too much protein, like when I was going through what people have been eating, it's like, well, you can't do that. So I'm not saying you can't have a salad and have steak on top of it. You can. I'm not saying you can't have eggs in the morning with a bunch of vegetables in it. You can have that. So it's easier than you think it is. I know it sounds complex right now, but if you really gave yourself 6 hours to eat during the day, you're like, okay, this is my first meal. A lot of times you get 2, maybe 3 meals. The idea is to not graze all day during the day, because when you graze, you get tons of insulin spikes. So the idea of grazing, not good. Shortest lifespans.
It doesn't matter if it's like from 8 in the morning till 2 or from 11 to
just know that
6 or whatever.
That at 8 p.m. the body wants to start storing stuff.
Right.
So is it okay to be from 2 p.m. to 8? That's fine, but no, 8 p.m. for some reason, that's the time the body wants to store things.
So I like salads, but I like a lot of dressing.
Yeah.
It's okay to have
You
a
can
lot
do
of
dressing as long
and all
oil,
this, as
good.
long as it's
Oil, lemon, oil, apple cider vinegar, oil, and
spices are okay to
awesome.
whatever spices.
100%.
There's so many ketogenic books out there.
There is, and if you guys wrote down your email, we're going to send you Josh Axe's new one, and then we're also going to give you the elimination on the way out too. So you can look through the elimination. I do have recipes in it, and then I have all the no-nos, and it's only for 10 days. If you can give yourself 10 days, a lot of times after day 5, I would start that on day 5 is going to be your crash day. So if you start on a Monday, no problem, but by day 5, you'll probably want to go to sleep about 7 p.m. You should have a great night's sleep. And then when you wake up, you'll notice that switch. And it was during that really bad downtime is when all the parasites were starting to die. That candida was starting to die away. But you still give yourself 10 days to make sure that it's gone.
So this helps with the candida, is that what you're saying?
Yep, the elimination helps with candida, helps kind of get that gut bacteria a little more balanced out. So whatever you try to do moving forward, it's easier for you to digest food.
This and no dairy type of.
That one doesn't have dairy. That one I say no dairy only because it's one of the biggest triggers for people. It's an inflammatory trigger.
Sugar.
It's full of sugar.
Full of sugar.
When you can do a hard cheese, a hard cheese a lot of times is fat based and there's not tons of sugar in it. But I mean, any other dairy, yeah, high.
So do we just talk to Allie up front or Cindy or somebody if we wanted to do the sensitivity test through here and find out the cost and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Allie can get that all set up and we'll just send you somewhere to get your blood taken and then we'll send you with everything in a packet and then we'll get all the information back so we can go through it together. Yeah. What? What'd you get nervous about?
Anything to do with the blood needles.
Oh, say, I have tattoos, and I still, every time I go, I'm just like getting psyched up. Like, it's so hard for me. I can't get it through my brain. Like,
If you get on the ear, it doesn't hurt the ear.
it doesn't?
When I used to give blood at the, blood bank, whatever, they did it for a while on the ear, and I go, oh, that's so much better than the finger.
It's to feel my heartbeat in my finger is just, it's awful.
What do you think about, when they say warm, starting a
day off as soon as you get up with warm water and lemon in it.
I love it. Warm water, lemon, a little apple cider vinegar. You can put a little honey in. It automatically, so the hard part is that your stomach acid, it decreases as you get older.
Mine's way older.
Yes. As you get older, your stomach acid decreases, and the other really crummy part about it is when your stomach acid decreases, you don't absorb B vitamins. When you don't absorb B vitamins, your energy levels plummets. Yeah. And so it's really hard to absorb those B vitamins when your stomach acid's down. So one of the best things you can do is that water and lemon, apple cider vinegar before you go to eat anything.
So when you say water, lemon, how much?
Apple cider vinegar, like a capful.
Here's
like
like
a half a lemon or
something.
something. You're having a tablespoon of lemon. Yeah, half a lemon and like you're having a.
Yeah, you do half a lemon
Coffee,
too.
half a cup of hot water. I drink a lot of hot water.
If that bothers your stomach, some people it will bother their stomach and it doesn't feel right. That means they have enough stomach acid, and what you might be missing is enzymes.
Yeah.
So if you can just go and drink maybe just like an ounce of apple cider vinegar and let it just sit there and see, like, okay, does it bother my stomach? Does it feel okay? You start feeling a little like acidicy through here. It means you have enough stomach acid. It means you probably need enzymes to help break up food. So you need to be eating living food. And if
Eating what?
like living food, alive food, stuff that probably hasn't been baked, even baked or
like
cooked
raw
in any way,
vegetables and
like
stuff?
raw vegetables.
Oh, okay.
But even with those, they're hard to break down. So
Yeah.
sometimes having an enzyme, just like a helping enzyme, will help in that process as well.
Is that like, you saying like a helping enzyme? Is that like a
It's just like
supplement
it's just a
pill
supplement
kind
that's
of
an
thing?
enzyme. Mm-hmm.
Do you have apple cider vinegar at your house? This is my restaurant.
I figured. I would make everything for you.
You want like
Apple
a
vinegar.
good like a raw apple cider.
Yeah.
100%.
Grapes,
Some other
grapes or
yeah,
jam.
the whole shebang.
Exhibits, though, right?
But yeah, if you notice any energy issues, it's because the stomach acid's probably low and you're not absorbing those B vitamins. So once you feel like you get that stomach acid regulated and you can digest things, then you start getting those B vitamins and absorbing them correctly.
So how would you
That gets
know, like,
deeper, but
well, you'll feel the difference.
you'll feel the difference. So you'll feel the difference when you take that the shot of apple cider. So do like an ounce, and after you do that, if you feel like you don't have any kind of re-GERD or anything like that, if it feels pretty good and you go to eat a meal and it was fine, you're probably good. You probably just need more stomach acid.
So some wines do that to me. Some red wines will do that, and it's
Wine
like
is-
almost like, but I don't think I have it. Almost like acid reflux, kind of when they talk about that, but I don't think I have
You
that.
can be so sensitive to so many things in wine. It could be the yeast, could be the tannins, could be
Okay.
wine is full of mold.
Okay, we're off
Sorry, I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah.
You can go back to your shoulder.
I'm old enough. I don't need any more of that.
If you love wine, Dry Farms. So Dry Farms, they do wines that they do independent testing on, and that's what we get at our house. So we do a case of 6 every other month. Dry Farm wines, they do all testing, no molds, low sugar. So it's actually a ketogenic wine, to be honest with you. Just
Online or
Yeah, you can
get
go
it
online and go
grabbed-
Dry Farm Wines.
Lovejoy.
you cannot get it there.
Okay.
And most of the bottles, you won't know anything that they say. They're all from foreign countries. We haven't found any in the U.S. yet.
Well, isn't
So,
that weird?
Sorry. A lot of times when they press wines, they use chemicals to press in the United
Sure.
States, so they're allowed to have so many gross things. That's the best
What
way
is
to
wrong
say
with the United States anyway?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, they just have so many things in this country that other countries.
Yeah, they won't let you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're smarter than we are.
They are.
Great class.
Thank you. I'm like, I'm sorry. I know that was long, but I was like, I just want to answer.
Made it go long.
I just want to answer
Asking
anything.
questions.
Thank you.
We have too many regulations, that's why.